What's up, folks? What's going on? Welcome to episode 91 of the Spun Today Podcast. I'm your host, Tony Ortiz. And if I sound a little bit like DJ Academics or Snuffleupagus, it's because I'm getting over a cold, so hopefully it's not too fucking annoying. But as the thespians say, the show must go on. Speaking of which, if you'd like to support the Spun Today podcast, you can do so by going to spuntoday.com and clicking on the affiliate links tab. There you'll find a few different ways to help support the podcast, including one of the easiest, which is by clicking on the Amazon banner and doing all your Amazon shopping like you normally do. It does not cost you anything extra, but it helps support the podcast, and it's much appreciated. In this episode, I speak about ratings being released for the opening weekend of Netflix's Bright, Elon Musk helping to turn the power back on at a children's hospital in Puerto Rico, watching the Broadway play Aladdin, watching the movie Coco, and a Netflix show called Black Mirror that I've recently gotten into. Yo, I can't believe one of the things that I forgot to mention when in the previous podcast a couple weeks ago when I spoke about the movie Bright and watching it and stuff like that. One of the coolest things about the movie, I completely left out of the podcast. It's completely just like fell out of my head. No rhyme or reason for it. It just happened. But when I remember seeing it in the movie, I was like, what the fuck? In the very beginning, it shows the orc character, the main orc character, which is Will Smith's partner, played by Joel Edgerton, is being interviewed. It shows like a TV in spoiler alert, by the way. It shows a TV in the kitchen, in Will Smith's kitchen, and Will Smith is speaking to his wife, and then on TV, it shows the orc being interviewed by Joe Rogan on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast. So I thought that was super cool. I saw the JRE logo and I was like, wait, what? And then it's like a little mock podcast of the orc being on fucking JRE. I thought that was so fucking cool. And Rogan has a deal with Netflix. He does his specials on there, and so it wasn't too surprising that if something like that were to happen in a movie, that it would be like a Netflix movie. But it was just like so dope, you know? I thought it was cool. But like I've said in the past, I'm an extra go hard, no homo when it comes to podcasts in general. So anything that bigs up podcasts, I'm all for it. Anyway, about how the movie did, you know, I went through like what I thought of the movie last time and stuff like that. I'm not gonna get into that and how like polarizing it was and critics shitting on it and fans loving it and a bunch of in between. But for the most part, pretty polarizing results. According to Nielsen, which estimates ratings, because Netflix, you know, doesn't release ratings. Nielsen estimated that on the opening weekend of Bright, it was viewed by 11 million people. Which, just to put it in context, which is big, that's a lot. But just to put it in context with other Netflix releases and other Netflix opening day estimates by Nielsen, which, you know, is a rating agency. They have their methods. I mean, they're not accurate, obviously, their estimates, but they have their methods. This is what they do, you know. This is as close as you're going to get to accuracy without, you know, Netflix releasing numbers. The Variety article that published this, which I'll put in the episode notes, also pointed to, just for some context, two other Netflix releases on either side of that 11 million, just so you can have an idea. So Stranger Things, for example, which is one of Netflix's biggest series. Season 2, opening weekend. Nielsen estimated at like 15 million. And then another big show, BBC show. Not BBC show, but a British-based drama called The Crown. Nielsen estimated at around 3 million for like opening weekend of, I forget like which season, 1 or 2. I don't know how many seasons there are of that show. I haven't watched it. And I thought that was pretty interesting. Now, Netflix did actually comment on the Nielsen estimates for Bright, but they did comment on the Nielsen estimates for Stranger Things. And they said that they were wildly off target. Now, I don't know if that means because a lot more people watched it or a lot less people watched it. So take that with a grain of salt. And Netflix, if you're listening and you want another podcast to do a cameo for Bright 2, give me a holla. Next up is Elon Musk, which is I've spoken about on the podcast in the past. He is the CEO of Tesla and of SpaceX and of Solar City, which was purchased by Tesla, ironically. And the Boring Company as well. For those of you that don't know, Tesla is the company that makes cool electric cars, like the Model S, the Model X, Model 3, and now some like semi-trailer, how do you call it? Semi 18-wheeler. What are they called? Semis, I guess. Just semis. Anyway, those like 18-wheeler trucks, but driverless. Solar City, which does like solar panels for homes and businesses. SpaceX, which is a rocket ship company. The Boring Company, which is a company that is currently I believe already in production in LA, building 3D tunnels underground to help alleviate traffic above ground. And it's going to be these system of 3D tunnels where, you know, you're driving the street in your car, a regular car, and you can park like in one of these boring parking spots, and it'll, like an elevator, drop underground into these tunnels, and then like zip you across from like LA to San Francisco or something in like a fraction of the amount of time. Because you're not driving, stuff like that. It could like lock you in position and let it go like super fast. It's like crazy sick shit. He's like I've said it before, the real life Tony Stark type character. Genius, billionaire dude. And he was recently in a Twitter exchange. Not recently. This was actually, I found out about it recently, but it happened apparently back in October after Hurricane Maria hit the Caribbean. And he was in a Twitter exchange with the governor of Puerto Rico, Ricardo Rossello. And he, less than a week later, was able to donate a bunch of materials to Puerto Rico. He did this by diverting resources from 2 projects which set behind the production of the Tesla 3, as well as the driverless semi trucks. And he diverted resources to Puerto Rico, and within a week had a children's hospital up and running with electricity. Now, Elon is a billionaire. He knows something about being in the business of making money, and rebuilding Puerto Rico's power grid infrastructure is expected to cost as much as like $5 billion. So I would imagine that's part of the whole play, the whole idea. And because a lot of other companies, energy companies and other, like solar panel companies and stuff like that are interested in getting a piece of that pie. But, doing something like this, good like this, is positive and good regardless of that, because that's not something that's owed to him or anything like that. I'm sure it'll help conversations within that realm, but it's definitely by no stretch is he like or Tesla entitled to like that business on their own. Also, it falls, a project like this, and if it, snowballs into something bigger within Puerto Rico, becomes, falls perfectly within the, Tesla, SpaceX, Solar City, just Elon Musk's vision, and like all those businesses, business models of long-term sustainable energy and less dependence on fossil fuels. That falls perfectly in line with their goals. And to show it like on a big scale like that could have tremendous snowball effects, throughout the Caribbean and throughout the world, really. So it's definitely an interesting and positive win-win chess move play by Elon Musk. No, he's a fucking billionaire. Speaking of billionaires, by the way, did you guys hear that Jeff Bezos, the owner, CEO of Amazon, just became the richest man ever in the history of the world? He's worth now, I think, over $100 billion. 100 and something billion dollars. The richest man ever in the history of the world. That's sick. Speaking of Amazon.com, go to spuntoday.com and click on the affiliate link tab and then the Amazon banner. Do your Amazon shopping like you normally do. It does not cost you anything extra, but will help support the podcast. Thank you. All right, I went to see another Broadway play. If you guys listened to the podcast in the past, I've seen a shitload of plays. I've told you guys how to get tickets on the cheap to watch some plays. I actually have a YouTube video. I'll link to it in the episode notes again for your viewing pleasure. It's a little tutorial on exactly where to go and how to do it to sign up for these Broadway tickets that you get at steeply discounted prices. Tickets cost $30 to $40 max, and the face value of the tickets are anywhere from $90 to $250, and it's like a random lottery. You can sign up for free. If you win, you have the option to buy the tickets, and you don't have to. And if you lose, it literally costs you nothing but a couple of seconds to join the lottery on a daily basis. The only catch, if you want to call it that, is that if you win the lottery, the tickets are same day tickets. So you sign up and you usually know 5 or 6 hours ahead of the actual show time if you've won or not. And if you win and you choose to purchase the tickets, you have 5 or 6 hours to make it to the show. Anyway, the show I won tickets for this time was Aladdin, which I was really happy about, because I've been signing up for Aladdin for a minute, and I actually won the lottery a few months ago. And the way it works, which I explained in the video, that again will be linked in the episode notes, and is available on YouTube if you want to just search how to get discounted Broadway tickets on YouTube. I'm sure it'll pop up. But I won tickets to it a few months ago, and the way it works is that when you win, you get an email saying you've won, and you have an hour to purchase the tickets if you still want them. And if you don't purchase it within the hour, you're asked out and you can't buy them. And I got the email, I think the announcement's at 9 or 10 in the morning, and I saw the email like at 9:59. So I had like 1 minute, and by the time I like clicked on the site and logged in, like I clicked, purchase, I put in my card information and everything, and then by that time it was like a minute passed, and I was asked out, and I couldn't get the tickets, and I was beating myself up over it for a while because I wanted to see the show, and then missed out on it for something stupid and forgetting to check my email. But came around full circle. I kept signing up almost on a daily basis, and I won. I won a major prize. I won. Where's that from? And yeah, me and my wife went to the show, and the seats this time around, they're random seats. You could get like dope orchestra seats, you can get balcony seats, you can get nosebleeds, you can get mezzanine, anything. They're completely random. This time they weren't that great. They were third level balcony seats, but first row, so they weren't that bad. There were definitely worse seats in the house, and for the money, obviously, like I said before, they're $30 tickets. Face value for those seats, I think, were like $90 or 100. And the show, I would say it was definitely top 5 show. Maybe 4, maybe 3, but definitely a top 5 favorite play that I've seen. It was like the colors were awesome. It was like really, really colorful. I've always liked the storyline of Aladdin. Like I remember liking the movie, the cartoon Disney movie, when I was younger, and just the story in general. Rags to riches type of story. Guy gets the girl at the end. Happy ending type shit. It's a cool story. It's a really famous song, I Can Show You the World, which was cool. The way they did it in the play was dope because they actually like got it on the quote unquote magic carpet, and the way they showed it in the play, it like flew around the stage like with them on it, Aladdin and the princess, and it looked legit because they it was like mad smoke and it was dark, so you didn't see like any strings or anything like pulling it or anything like that at all. It just looked like a fucking carpet was floating in the sky. So it was a really cool production the way they put it all together. And yeah, it was funny. They had Aladdin, instead of having the monkey as like his friend or whatever, Abu, he had like 3 dudes, like 3 of his boys, and one of them was like heavy like Brooklyn Italian accent, and which is funny, and they do that a lot in plays. Like they throw in like a lot of like New York humor, I guess it's like for the tourists and shit, but it's kind of cool. And he was like the comedic relief, kind of, not just him, but he was definitely part of it. The genie was dope. Stole the fucking show. He was the same. He's like a big black dude that's like in all the posters and stuff like that. It was the same guy, and he just stole the fucking show. Really funny, charismatic, and just completely. He was like the star of the show. Got a standing ovation at the end. He got a standing ovation actually in the what's it called when they take a break in the middle? The fucking shit. There's like a proper term for that. The intermission. There was like a big number, big like song, dance, routine thing, and they got like a huge like standing ovation. Then I think actually bigger than even like at the end of the show. Like it was really dope. What else was good from it? The set was really cool too, and like all the changes to it were dope because they were like they changed a lot, like scene to scene, and it looked like a brand new set each time. You know what I mean? Like, it's not a lot of, like, some plays you see, it's like the same backdrop throughout the entire thing, and then they like change a couple things here and there, but it still just looks like the same place. But this one, like, they changed so much shit that everything just looked different. And like the whole floor of the stage had like a lot of like cuts and grooves and holes, and like stuff, like the genie, for example, would like disappear like down into the ground, like an elevator type shit, you know, and would like bring them down and then close back up the hole. And like a lot of things would just like go that way, like that, and things would like pop up, you know, like the same way, like through the ground. And it was dope. It's a dope play, cool set. The cast was really good and funny, and like I said, just like aesthetically, like the look of it was crazy. Definitely recommend it. And check out that video, no bullshit, that I'll link to in the episode notes again if you guys want to cop some cheap tickets to Broadway plays. It's a dope night out, especially like during the week you have nothing to do. They have like weekend lotteries also, obviously, but like I got these tickets for like a Tuesday or a Wednesday. The shows are earlier. Instead of starting at 8, they start at 7 during the week. So, you know, it's a dope night. You still get home early enough to not be like fucked up the next day, you know. The movie Coco was really good. Sentimental watch. Especially if you like lost someone close to you. I saw it at the in-laws' house. Shout out to the roomie Raul and Julie. And if I'm not mistaken, Fluffy, Gabriel Iglesias, is one of the voices in the movie. Or I thought I knew that he was going to be in that movie, but I couldn't figure out what character he played. And I don't remember if I tried looking it up or not. But if I did, I couldn't find him. I couldn't find like which character it was. So if anybody knows, hit me up and let me know. But I should just look it up again, right? Or actually look it up. But the movie was cool. It's based on Dia de los Muertos in Mexico, which is a Mexican. I don't know if it's only Mexican, but it's like a Latin American. I know it to be Mexican, but I don't know if it's like spreads to the other like Latin American countries in South America. It's a holiday of sorts, which I always thought was like the same as like Halloween type of thing. It's similar, but it's not the same thing. And the movie describes it as Dia de los Muertos is when families make an event out of, you know, going to visit their relatives that have passed, and like to their graves, and you know, they have like shrines of the people that have passed, and which as far as I know, it's not a Caribbean thing or a Dominican thing, but Dominicans also do that. Like they put like pictures, especially like older school Dominicans, like my parents, for example, is like any and every relative that has like passed, they have like this wall just filled with like their photos and like little candles and stuff like that, like as a remembrance type of thing. And in the movie they describe it as that, but also like the family getting together, I guess, and it's kind of like you get a sense of like honoring and visiting your ancestors and people that have passed on. But they show the movie from the perspective of those that have already passed, and how this is what I found like the most interesting about the story, is that the people that have passed, like the spirits that have died already, they that is the day, Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead, the Day of the Dead. That's the day that they're allowed to pass over from the spirit world and actually mingle amongst their families that they haven't seen since they died, or since the last year, Day of the Dead, because they're in like their realm, but they get to cross this like golden orangey bridge into our world, and even though we can't see them, they can be around us and mingle and see us and see how much we've grown and changed and stuff like that. Now, what I found really interesting is that the act of the people that are still living, of like putting pictures up and remembering them and telling stories about their parents and grandparents and siblings and people lost loved ones, that is what keeps the spirits in the spirit world alive. And as long as somebody keeps your memory alive, you're able to like come back and visit and see them, and in a sense be with them. But after your memory is lost as the generations pass, then you start dwindling as a spirit until there's nobody left in the real world to remember you, and then you pass on from the spirit world to the unknown. So in essence, you die in the spirit world once the memory of you is forgotten in the real world. So I thought that whole like concept was pretty interesting, and that's what resonated most with me and what I like most about the movie. It was a pretty cool concept. Spoiler alert like a motherfucker on that one, huh? And last but not least, the show Black Mirror, which is on Netflix. Black Mirror is originally a BBC show, and BBC means British broadcast cool stuff. I don't know what it means, but it means British. It means Britain. Like BBC News, BBC whatever means people that talk like this, eh, mate? But sound less Australian-y. It's a British show that is available on Netflix, and I just find it so interesting, so I like smart social commentary, and I feel like it speaks to what's gonna happen if technology keeps progressing in the way that it is, and if our social norms keep progressing in the ways that they are. And it shows you, each individual show is like a different show, so it's not like you have to watch it in sequence, and like each season, there's 4 seasons right now. It's not like you have to watch them in sequence. Like one has literally nothing to do with the other, different actors, different stories. It's like little movies. It's like little hour-long movies, each one, basically. Some like 45 minutes, some are an hour, and they're all like standalone shows, which is cool too. And I'll tell you guys about a couple episodes that I liked, just so you can like have an idea of what the show kind of is. From season 1, there was an episode, for example, where the world was such that the people in it, like the protagonists of the show, they like woke up to work, and their work was like spinning on a bike, basically, and they had to like spin on the bike to create energy for whomever, and then they accumulated enough credits and points to like buy certain things like lunch and certain very non-extravagant things, and you could accumulate enough credits to spend on a ticket to a talent show, and this talent show is viewed by the rest of the world, because all these people are kind of like, you get the sense that they're like captive, and you can spend all your money, which is like a fortune, which is like the life savings ever from working in the job that you work, that you have to work till death apparently. But you could spend it on this like flyer lottery ticket type thing to be on the talent show. And then if you win the talent show, then you get like fame and riches, and you become one of the elite, and you live lavishly. So that's like the way out, you know? And it shows all these people pretty much just waking up, going to work, pedaling on the bike aimlessly. And some have this, you know, some are just like, yeah, this is what life is, whatever. I just wake up, go to work, go to sleep, you know, spend my money on movies and TV shows or porn or whatever. Like, it shows like what the different people do like after they finish pedaling. And some people save it, and some people are dreamers and are saving up for that lottery ticket thing, and some people like don't give a fuck about it. You know, you do different types of people, right? All different types of people within the spectrum. And it's like most of us now, right? You wake up, go to work, and you fall into like the same routines, same rut in life. And some people dream of ways to get out and have ideas on how to do it. And some people do risky things like play that lottery, and some people actually win, you know, and some people, and then it shows like a flip side to everything, where it's like this talent show thing. It's kind of like The Voice or like America's Got Talent or like one of those like shows on NBC that, you know, the crowd is full and the whole world is watching, and, you know, it's like a Hunger Games type of thing, you know, everybody's looking at that, and that's like the biggest thing in the world. And so that's like a whole other side to it. So that's like one episode. I'm not going to spoil it for you guys and tell you how it ends. That's in season 1, and that's called 15 Million Merits. Also in season 1 is an episode called The Entire History of You. This is definitely one of my favorites throughout like all 4 seasons. I haven't finished watching all 4 seasons. I watched 3 of them, I believe, completely, or I think I have like one more left in season 3. And they're short seasons, by the way. Like the first season seems like a pilot type season, I guess, because there's only 3 episodes in season 1. Season 2 has like 5 or 6. Season 3 has like 5 or 6 or 8. And so on. But anyway, in season 3, it's like a regular world, like how this world is, with the only difference being that the vast majority of people, you can opt out of this if you get some sort of, either you opt out or you get some sort of procedures done. But the norm is to have this implant, this tiny like rice size implant behind your ear of this little like microchip thing, and as well as a permanent contact lens in one of your eyes. And again, this is like the norm. This is like 9 out of 10 people have this. And, you know, somebody that doesn't have this implant is because they got like some medical exemption type of thing, and they requested to have it physically removed from their body and like all types of shit. And they're looked at like lepers and like weirdos or like weird hippies, you know. But what this does is like everything that you see gets recorded, and you can play it back like forever. So, you know, shit from like when you were a kid or, you know, whenever. And, you know, you can scroll back to December 3rd, you know, 1999 at 4:53 p.m., you know. And for example, like traveling, like when you're in the airport, instead of giving a passport, they ask you to scan your last hour, and they like skim through it, you know, make sure you're not a terrorist and picking up bombs and shit like that, and say, okay, you're good to go. And then you go. And so to like use that much. So like encounters, for example, in the show, they go over, like the guy's like at a job interview, and his wife asks him how it went. He says he doesn't think it went that well. And she's like, oh, put it up on the screen, let me see. And then you can like literally, like you have this little like thing this little like button thing where you can like almost like Apple TV your images to the screen type of thing, and like transpose them on the screen and like replay videos and pictures and like whatever. And people are like, oh no, it didn't go that bad. Look, this person, you know, looked away from you. You can like zoom in, zoom out, and look at things that you weren't like looking at while you were actually like living them. And this episode's really good. And it's pretty much about this like jealous husband guy that meets up with his wife at a dinner party of like her friends that he's meeting her at. And he walks in and notices her being like extra friendly with some guy. It's an old friend of hers. And he notices her before she notices him. And then he notices like her body language and everything change once she does notice him. So he starts getting like jealous and like skeptical about this guy, asking questions and like stuff like that, like as the show goes on. And ultimately finds out that, spoiler alert, by the way, that she had an affair with this guy, like way back when, and she denies it, and then he makes her like play back, you know, the last time she saw him, and then she sees that they were like making out and like all types of like crazy shit. So it's like an interesting dive into what, like how we would abuse the ability to be able to like see everything and anything whenever we wanted or asked. Another good one. Let's see. There was an interesting one that I kind of didn't like it, but I liked the way it ended. In season 2, it's called White Bear, and it was this lady that wakes up in a room, and she doesn't know where she is. She doesn't remember who she is. She thinks she has like a daughter because she's in the house that she's in, which is completely empty except for her and, you know, like furniture and like stuff like that. But in terms of people, she's the only one there. And she walks out and she sees people like looking at her from like different houses, like everybody like in their windows and like looking out the window and looking at her. And then people driving by looking at her, and people like down the block just looking in her direction. And she tries to ask questions and everybody ignores her. And then somebody starts shooting at her, somebody with a mask. And then she starts like running away, and then somebody else with a mask, like people like are chasing her, and then she's like running towards other people that are just like standing by watching and like filming it with their phones. And she's like, help me, why are you filming this, look, they're shooting at me, help me. And she doesn't know who the fuck she is, she doesn't remember anything, and this whole shit is just weird, right? You fucking running away from people that are shooting at you with a shotgun and have fucking machetes and shit, and then other people, like dozens and dozens of people just like standing by filming it on their phones. And it winds up being that all these people are like paying to be there, like kind of like an amusement park ride type of thing. And some of the people are like actors that are deliberately, you know, like the people shooting at her and chasing her and stuff like that, those are the actor people. And the people that are there as part of the amusement park type of thing are in on it, and they're like in, you know, for the ride, and that's why they're filming it going along for the ride. And they drive this woman to you know, pretty much through a bunch of obstacles, and some people like try to help her, but they're in it also, and they're not really helping her, they're just like driving the narrative of the story. And this is, you know, it's all being recorded, and people are watching on a big screen as well, like in this big theater. And it ends with her trying to, you know, she's fighting for her life, and she's almost gonna die, and then she grabs a gun, and it's she winds up being a fake gun, but she shoots like a person, and the gun doesn't really shoot. I don't know. Anyway, there's a big reveal at the end, and she winds up being like on a stage, and then they sit her down and tie her down to a chair, and everybody's screaming like, "Oh my god, that was awesome!" And she still doesn't know what the fuck is going on. She doesn't know who she is. And then they put on the screen that she was a woman that, so the whole time you like feel sorry for her. You're like, yo, what the fuck? These people aren't helping her. You know, what's going on? You as a viewer, you don't know what's happening either. And they reveal, like, on stage that, and they, you know, they play video for her as like the proof and stuff like that to show her like who she is. And it turns out that she's a woman that she like abandoned a infant or a baby, her daughter or her kid or whatever, and or killed it, and she did something horrific and was sentenced to this that they keep doing to her as like an amusement thing. Like, this is her punishment basically. And then they wipe her memory out and start it all over again and do it again. And they do that, you know, every day. And that's her fucking torture. So it's like a crazy flip, because you like feel sorry for her the whole time, and then you're like, wow, she was a piece of shit actually. And then all these other people, you know, watching and doing this and allowing this type of like weird torture crying game type of thing are oddly pieces of shit too. But I don't know who's worse. So like some of the shows are like really good, and but then some of them are like, oh, that was cool. You know, it's not like amazing, you know, the most amazing shit you've ever seen, but it was like, oh, that was cool. That was cool to watch. I'm glad I saw that. But, you know, it's definitely not the best thing I've ever seen, or the worst thing I've ever seen, or anything like that. But I'm glad I saw it, you know. At least that's how the shows like leave me. But check them out, you know, read the descriptions if you guys want. And each individual, you know how Netflix gives you like a little synopsis of each episode or whatever. Check it out. Remember that they're all like individual, separate shows. You don't have to watch it in order or anything like that, and see if any of them sound interesting to you. Check it out. It's definitely an interesting concept show, like an interestingly written and alternate reality-ish type of thing. So check it out. Again, it's called Black Mirror, and it's available on Netflix. That's all I got for you fine folks this week on the Spun Today Podcast. Stay tuned to listen to some tunes in the background and for ways that you can help support the podcast.
The mirror's image, it tells me it's home time, but I'm not finished, 'cause you're not by my side. And as I arrived, I thought I saw you leaving, carrying your shoes. Decided that once again I was just dreaming of bumping into you. Now it's 3 in the morning, and I'm trying to change your mind. Left you multiple missed calls, and to my message you replied. Why'd you only call me when you're high? High. Why'd you only call me when you're high? Somewhere darker, talking the same shite.
Would you like to receive a short email from me once a week? You know that feeling you have on a Monday at work when you have absolutely nothing to look forward to except for lunch? Have no fear, the Midday Monday Boost letter is here. In this short weekly newsletter, you will receive 5 things. 1 is a photograph of the week from a photographer. A podcast of the week. I listen to tons of podcasts, dozens and dozens of podcasts, hundreds of episodes, and I cherry pick the best ones, and I share them with you here. You'll also receive a video of the week, which could be anything from a rap battle to a TED Talk. You receive a quote of the week, something to let marinate in your mind, and a word of the week, so that you and I can both step up our vocab. So if any of that sounds of interest to you, check it out. Check out the subscribe page at spuntoday.com/subscribe. Drop in your email address and you'll receive the very next one. For any writers or creatives out there, I have a questionnaire. It's a 5-question questionnaire that anyone is free to fill out. It's located at spuntoday.com/questionnaire. And what it is 5 open-ended questions related to your craft. It's things like what inspires you to write, or create whenever you don't feel the inspiration to do so. What are your favorite apps or tools or tricks to trick yourself into getting into the mind state of actually creating? What inspires you, etc., stuff like that. And what I do with your responses is share them on a future episode of the podcast. Now, you can choose to remain anonymous. If you choose to, you have that option right there when you fill out the questionnaire. And if you do not choose to remain anonymous, I give you a shout out on the podcast and promote for free whatever it is that you have going on. So I appreciate you in advance for sharing that with me, as well as the rest of the listeners of the Spun Today podcast, which would stand to gain from you filling out the questionnaire. Now, you can help support the podcast in a myriad of ways. One way, which does not cost you anything and is most popular within the podcasting community, is by shopping on Amazon using my affiliate links banner. So the way that works is you go to spuntoday.com/affiliate links, or just click on the affiliate links tab at the top center of the page. And there you will see a banner for Amazon. You literally just click on that and it takes you to Amazon's website, where you do your shopping like you normally do. It does not cost you anything extra, but Amazon will give me a kickback just for driving traffic to their website. So that would be a big help. It literally costs you nothing extra financially, just costs you a couple of extra clicks of your mouse before you do your Amazon shopping. The iTunes banner that's on that same page works the same way. So if you're purchasing music or movies or whatever it is on iTunes, feel free to go through my affiliate link portal there as well. If you want to make a one-time PayPal donation, feel free to do so. There's a PayPal donation button on there as well. Within that same tab, you'll also find a link to the Spun Today Viral Style store. Now, the Viral Style store is a store where you can get Spun Today merch, whether it's a coffee mug or a t-shirt that I personally designed. And spoiler alert, I'm no Ralph Lauren or whoever designs Gucci stuff. But I did create the design of those shirts myself. I have a couple t-shirts on there. One that says, for example, Right Need Every Day, which is a play off of Snoop, Dre, and Nate Dogg's Smoke Weed Every Day. So it's Right Need Every Day with like a puff cloud of smoke behind it. I have a podcast versus everybody t-shirt and just stuff like that. So check it out. The link to the Viral Style store is also there. You can also help support the podcast on a reoccurring basis if you become a Patreon supporter. Now, Patreon is pretty cool, and there's a little video explanation of what it is and how it works, but I'll try to do my best to summarize it here. Basically, you sign on to Patreon, which is a free service, free account, and you can support not just myself, but any other podcasters or creatives that also have Patreon pages. And you can choose to, for example, donate $1 to them on a per episode basis. So the Spun Today podcast has 2 episodes a month. So if you donate $1 to it, it'll be $2 a month, basically. And you set it up, and it just happens automatically on a reoccurring basis. There are 0 fees. You can cancel at any time. No hassle, no bullshit. And it's a cool way to help support, and is much appreciated. And also, it's not just like for example, a PayPal donation, which is just that, but through Patreon, it allows the creator, in this case being myself, to set up a reward system, if you will. So if you donate $1 per episode, you are considered a tier 1 supporter. If you donate $3 per episode, you are a second tier supporter, etc., etc. And it goes up to 4 tiers. And each tier gets different things. Like tier 1 gets a free Spun Today bookmark and a shout out on the podcast. Tier 3 gets those 2 things from tier 1, as well as a free writing piece that's not posted on my website or available to anyone else, etc., etc. So check that out if you will, and visit my Patreon page at Patreon, patreon.com/Spun Today. Another great, amazing way to help support the podcast is to rate and review it. This costs you absolutely nothing. Whether you listen on iTunes, on Stitcher, on TuneIn, on iHeartRadio, on Pocket Casts, on Overcast, on Player FM, on Google Play, on YouTube, on Tumblr, or if you listen on Podbay or any other of your favorite podcast apps. Please rate and review the episode. It really is the number one way to help the show gain traction, gain exposure. You know, you could also share it with friends and family and tell them, you know, check out what this idiot is saying. Some of it is actually pretty good. Or it all fucking sucks and you should listen and laugh. But as long as you're listening, it would be much appreciated. So rate and review the podcast wherever it is that you listen. Follow me on Twitter or on Instagram at Spun Today. Like the Facebook fan page at facebook.com/Spun Today. Subscribe to my YouTube page as well. All podcast episodes are available on YouTube, as well as clipped versions. For example, with the random rant episodes, you know, I speak about a bunch of different topics instead of having the full episode alone, which is also available on YouTube. But you also have snippets of the different topics broken up into more digestible chunks. So check that out. You can also support by checking out my book, Make Way for You, Tips for Getting Out of Your Own Way. It's a quick short read if you're looking for some inspiration and motivation, and you can find out more about it at spuntoday.com/books. There you'll find a video of me telling you all how the book came to fruition, as well as a couple of audio excerpts. If you're interested, you can purchase it wherever books are sold: Kindle, iBooks, Kobo, in ebook or paperback format, which you can find on Amazon. Also, for being a Spun Today listener, I can also send you a free copy. Right there on that same landing page at spuntoday.com/books. Drop in your email address at the bottom of the page, and I'll shoot you over a copy in the format of your choice. And that's all I got, folks. Thanks again for checking out this episode. And as always, substitute the mysticism with hard work and start taking steps in the general direction of your dreams. Thanks for listening.